Alrighty guys, it's Data Daddy here today, and we're going to talk about how to use Cisco Duo for two-factor authentication when you want to SSH into your server, or really any PC or device that you have set up. I figured I would make a video on this because, if you're like me and you want to access your computer from anywhere and you want to do it reliably and safely, one of the best ways to do that is to employ some sort of two-factor authentication method. So I've been using Duo for a while through the University of Georgia and through one previous employer, and it works really well, and I'm familiar with it. So this is one method for employing two-factor authentication. There are a lot of other ones. I looked at using Google Authenticator. So if you're interested, I can try to make a video on that one as well. But anyway, so without further ado, we're going to start looking at Cisco Duo today. So anyway, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go and look at the documentation. This is super helpful. So it's duo.com/docs/duo Unix, and I'll post this in the video description. So it'll be a little bit easier. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to sign up for a Duo account. So we'll go ahead and click that. I already have one, so I'm just going to go ahead and log into mine. Sorry, wrong password. There we go. Go ahead and get us temporary key. 2, 3, 7, 4, 4. Okay, cool. So now we're in. And let's go back to docs. The first thing we want to do is we want to click on protect an application and locate a Unix application. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go to applications, and then we're going to protect an application, and then we're going to search for Unix. Okay, so Unix application we're going to protect. And then that's going to give us an integration key, secret key, and hostname, which we're going to use later. So we'll note this down. Let me just get a text file going here so we can just note that down. And integration key. And then secret key, and I'm going to change this as soon as this video is done, so I'm not really worried if you guys see it. Okay, and then the API host name. Boom. Alright, cool. So we've got everything we need to move forward. Alright, so let's see what's next. So if you plan to build this from source, download the latest version of Duo Unix tarball. So from the command line, you can use curl or wget down this file. Okay, so it already gives us the command, so we'll just go ahead and use wget. Make sure you do have wget installed on your server. So actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and log into the server we're going to install this on today. So we're going to SSH into this new server I got, and I've already set it up so that it's accessible via an SSH key. And if you are interested in how to do all of that, I have other videos in this series on that, and I'll link those in the description below, and there should be a card above which you can click on if you're interested. Alright, so now we're in. And so let's make sure we have wget installed. I'm 99% sure that it is. So sudo apt install wget. Okay, yep, wget's already installed. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and paste this command in. Actually, yeah, this is fine. Okay, so we now have the tarball on our computer, so that's good. And now it tells you how to build it from source. So another thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we have all these dependencies installed. So let's go ahead, we want to open SSL. So we'll go ahead and install that guy. Alright, cool. And then we need libpam, so we can, and we're installing this as PAM, which is, I always forget what PAM stands for. Let me just look that up real quick. So PAM is pluggable authentication module. So there's different ways you can do this, but this is the most generalizable, and if you're familiar with PAM, it's probably good to get familiar so that you can use other packages and things that work off of PAM. So anyway, we're going to use PAM, but you can also, there is another related one where you can just, let's see, where you can install it in, yeah, through login. So there's another way that's a little bit easier with the login instructions, or just with a login Duo file rather than PAM. So you can go this route if you'd like, but I'm going to use PAM in this video, so just as a heads up. Okay. So let's minimize this. Let's go back. Oh, sorry. Actually, I need this back. Nope. This guy. Okay. So we need to install libpam. So let's grab that guy. Sudo apt install. Yes, we want to continue. Alright, excellent. So we now should have all the dependencies installed. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to unzip the tarball, and then we want to cd into the proper directory inside. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see. Cannot no such. Oh. Why is it not know where this is? Duo Unix. Ah, okay. So yeah, we just need to replace this with whatever the latest version is. So 2.02, and now it should unzip. Cool. Now we can cd into this directory. Boom. Alright, cool. So what's next here? So now what we want to do is we want to build and install Duo Unix. So we've already had this nifty line here, which you can paste in, which will configure everything for us and build out Duo Unix. So what it's going to do is it's going to use this configuration file here, and it's going to build out everything that we need. So let's go ahead and paste this guy in. Let's see, error. Oh, yeah, okay. So I haven't installed a C compiler yet. So we need to install GCC or something similar. So let me look up the code for that. So we want to install build essential. So this has all the stuff that we need to run and compile C and C++ programs. So we'll go ahead and install that. And there are other options. You could just install GCC. You could install a different version, like there's Clang and some others. I know Clang I use on Mac. But anyway, so it doesn't have to be this, but this is just the one that I typically use. So we'll try that again. And now it's going to work. Alright, fantastic. Cool. So now Duo Unix should be working. Okay, so what are we doing here? Install from Linux packages. I don't know that we need to do this. Install. Once installed, proceed to Duo configuration. Okay, so yeah, we can proceed here. Okay, so now we need to see where this PAM Duo configuration file is. So it tells us it's normally either in etc Duo or etc security. So we'll check both places. If I remember correctly, last time I did this, it was in etc Duo. So let's cd into etc Duo. Hopefully that exists. Okay, cool. So there we go. Oh, and it actually already created the Duo login file for us as well, so that's interesting. Alright, so we want to change this file because that's what we're interested in for the PAM version of this installation. So, okay. So let me do this. Let me move this over, and then I'll make this. There we go. Now we can see both. Alright, so the example configuration file looks like this. So we're going to go ahead and open this guy up. So it already has pretty much everything that we're going to need. So we just need to paste in the host, the secret key, and then the integration key. So we've got those guys right here. So let's post this guy, or paste this guy in. There we go. Secret key. And then the API key, or API host name, rather. And boom. So we'll go ahead and save that. Alright. So now, this should be working, and you have some different configuration options here, so you can get a little bit more sophisticated if you want. Like, for example, I think one of the things last time I did was you can have auto push if you want. So if yes, it will automatically send push to the user's phone rather than asking. So for example, if you don't have this, it'll just ask you whether you want it to be sent or what option that you want. So this might be useful for some people. There's a timeout you can set. So anyway, just some configurations, and you can play around. I am just going to leave it as default for right now until I have a chance to go and look through this a little bit more deeply. But anyway, so you have different options that you can do here. Alright guys, so now we're going to move on to the next part, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up the SSH configuration file. So cd etc ssh, and then we want to look in, or sorry, sudo nano sshd config. Alright, and we want to make some changes to this file. So this file is already set up so that we can log in with a SSH key pair, but we want to make some other changes so that we can also use Duo. And I'm just going to cross-reference this with another file that I know that works. So bear with me one moment. Okay, so all of this looks good so far. Let's continue scrolling down. Alright, so we need to add something here. So let's go back up here. So we need to add another line under permit empty password, and we're going to add authentication methods, public key, and keyboard interactive. So this will allow us to specify, whether you want SSS or push, or SMS message or a push message, or however we're going to use Duo to authenticate. We also need to change keyboard interactive authentication to yes. That will allow us to actually interact via the PAM module. And let's see. I want to make sure that PAM is set to yes, which I think it should be. Okay. Alright, excellent. So those are really the only things that you need. But feel free to copy this SSH file, because this is this is how I normally set things up for a good level of security. So I would recommend mirroring this file, or at least picking and choosing things that that make a difference to you. Okay, so now we've got our SSH file set up. We're gonna go ahead and save that, exit out. So now we need to find where this PAM Duo SO file lives. So basically where the code that allows PAM, or that allows Duo to work with PAM, where does it live? So if I remember correctly, I believe it is in lib64, at least on my machine. Security. Yeah, so there we go. So that's where the file lives for me. It may live in /lib security, so you can also check there. But this is the file that's making everything happen. So just it's useful to know where it is on your machine. All right. Excellent. So we've done all of this. Let me double check one thing. I'm gonna make sure that the use DNS is set to no. I didn't check for that specifically. So, oh, yep, it was not commented. All right, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so that's one other thing that you need to have is use DNS set to no. So make sure you have that updated in your file. Sorry about that. All right, so now we've got all this stuff good to go, and now we need to actually update the PAM files themselves. So this part you can lock yourself out, and I have done it multiple times. So what I recommend is it actually tells you up here when you're working on these system configurations. We recommend you leaving a root shell open while making any changes. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we are going to sudo su, and we'll go ahead and okay, cool. So we're just going to go ahead and leave this guy open, and then we're going to open another one. Yeah, this should work. Okay, so now that we are not going to lock ourselves out, let's log or go to the correct directory, which is cd etc pam.d, and then in here we have all the different files associated with your PAM authentication. So we need to make a change in the common auth file. So we'll go ahead and open that guy up. Common auth. Can't type today. All right, cool. So we need to replace some of this with this guy. So this is what it was looking like before, and this was what it needs to look like afterwards. So, and I like to just comment everything out in case you need to put things back later. It's nice to have the original. So go ahead and put this guy in, and then this guy right beneath it. I'll just go ahead and tab these out so that it matches with the rest. Alright. Alright, so this looks good. This matches this file. We already have the auth requisite PAM underscore deny SO, and then this guy auth required PAM permit, so we don't need this guy, supposedly. So we'll comment that guy out. Alright, cool. So that's all the changes that we need to make to the common auth file. So we'll go ahead and save that and exit. And then now we need to make a change to SSD. So sudo nano SSHD. And then where it says include common auth, so before before we have this, and we want to comment this out, and then we want to add several lines below it. So we can copy and paste these in, and there we go. So, and you can tab these out if you want. I'm just going to leave them be, and this one doesn't really make much of a difference. Alright, so in theory, this should work. So if you've done everything correctly, we can save this file, exit out, and then we can test it. So SSH into your system, newly configured with PAM Duo. If everything is set up correctly, your username in Duo doesn't exist, you'll be given an enrollment link. So you can go to this and you can set up everything on the Duo side. But if you already have Duo set up, then you should see this, and you should be able to enter a number, and you can either push code or a phone call or SMS message to perform two-factor authentication and log in. So, all right, let's give it a go. So let's exit out, and you may need to reset SSH to incorporate these settings. So if this doesn't work, we'll try that as well. But hopefully this works first time. So let's try it. Alright, so it did not register anything. So let's try to restart the service. Sudo service restart. Sorry, SSH restart. Uh-oh. Oops. Alright, so yeah, it looks like something is wrong because I'm not able to log in anymore. So this is what I mean, like if you do this incorrectly, then you will not be able to log in. Like for example, my sudo password is now not working, so I'm not able to access anything sudo. So anyway, that's why we opened this root terminal, so that we can go back and we can fix some of this stuff. So let's go back to cd into etc pam.d ls, and let's go to nano common auth. Alright. So something in here is messed up. Let me check another file I have that actually works and see what I did differently. Oh, you know what? I have this file is exactly the same as it was. So we're gonna reset this file back to the original case. So let's just take this stuff out. See, I told you sometimes it's useful to leave the original case in case you have to reset to it. So okay, so we're gonna take that back to original. We'll take that back to original. So that is the exact original file. Alright. So that one looks good. And then now let's look at SSHD. Okay. So exit SSHD. Alright, and this one. So here's part of the problem as well. this actually needs to reference the file. So that was my fault, guys. So this should be lib64 security in my case, because that way it needs to learn how to, or not learn, it needs to have the path to be able to find the file that you want to reference. So anyway, this should work. And you think about it, this makes more sense anyway, because you don't care about the common auth. You only want this to be invoked when you're looking to SSH into your machine. So this makes a lot more logical sense anyway. So let's try this and see if this guy works. So we're gonna leave that as is, and we're gonna exit here, and we're gonna retry to log in. Alright, so that didn't work, but let's at least see if we can sudo so yeah, let's see if we can sudo nano something duo. Alright, cool. So at least sudo is working again, and we didn't break that. So let's try to restart service SSH restart. So let's restart the SSH service and see if that fixes our issue here. Alright, so we're going to try this all again. So after those changes we made, we're going to try to log in. Okay, we're going to enter our passphrase, and then it asks us whether we would like to have a push or send us a text message. So you only get a certain number of text messages sent free. So I think that the push is just, it's more convenient anyway, and it's free. So I always use the push. So we'll enter 1, and then on my phone, it asks me, the Duo push, or once you click the notification, this is what comes up. And if I hit approve, everything's approved. And then if I flash back the main display, I am now logged in. So anyway, that, guys, is the process of how to enable two-factor authentication with Duo for your computer or server, or what have you. I think this is super useful, in the case of if you want to open up ports on your machine so that you can, remote access, or you can let others access your machine, and you want to do that with the, utmost security. This is a really good way to go. It gives me a lot of peace of mind knowing that, that my ports are basically open and bare to the internet. This two-factor authentication gives me a lot of peace of mind in doing that. So anyway, that's how I set everything up on my end, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, or you have any questions, just leave those in the comments. Thank you guys again. Have a great rest of the night.
Alrighty, guys, that does it for today. If you like the content, please consider giving me a like and a subscribe so I continue to grow and produce better and better content for you. And if you really like the content, you might even consider buying me a coffee, and the information for how to do that will be in the video description. If none of that sounds good, at least just give me some feedback in the comments. Let me know how I'm doing, if anything's unclear, or if there are things that I can improve on. But above all, guys, thanks again. Appreciate you watching, and have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.